नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. We are dealing with different definitions of life Swami Vivekananda gave, and the striking point is all these different definitions of Swami Vivekananda on life reveal different aspects of life. For example, first definition, life is unfoldment and development of a being under the circumstances tending to press it down. So that indicates life is a constant struggle. Without struggle there cannot be any life. So that struggle in life is most important. We have to struggle. That is one of the aspects of life. There is another definition we have already dealt with, that is life is like a lamp and our burning is the life, something like that. So that means, that indicates that we must give light to the whole world. We should not live a very narrow life confined to our own self-centeredness. We must become a beacon to the society, as Swami Vivekananda himself was. So that is another aspect of life. And he says another definition indicates, he alone lives whose life is in the whole universe. This is another definition given by Swami Vivekananda. He alone lives whose life is in the whole universe. So in some other place also, as we all know, he says expansion is life, contraction is death. So that means, contraction means confining oneself to our own ego-bound existence, psychophysical structure of personality, confining within ourselves and living that kind of self-centered life is called contraction. That is death, Swami Vivekananda says. So he alone lives whose life is in the life of the universe. That means we must come out of our own ego-bound existence. We should not live a very self-centered life. We must feel for others. We must identify ourselves with the whole society. We must feel whole universe belongs to me. I belong to the universe. I am the inseparable part of the universe. I cannot be completely island to myself, cut off from all the whole society, whole universe. It cannot be. That kind of life is not a life at all. It's a death. Because we derive so many things from others. From all around us we derive so many things. So much of energy we derive. So much of love, respect, all these things we derive. Without all these things we cannot survive really. We can't. So in that way, if you are only self-centered, then what happens, our life becomes more and more contracted. And as becomes more and more contracted, it becomes more and more narrow. As we become more and more narrow, the tension becomes intense. We become more tensed. If our expansion is, consciousness is expanded, then tension is less. Sri Ramakrishna says, gives example, when the elephant enters into a very small pond, so much of flash of water would be there, so much of commotion would be there in the lake, in the pond. But the same elephant enters into a very huge lake, very huge reservoir, vast reservoir. Then what happens? Nothing. There will be no commotion. So similarly, when our life becomes expanded beyond our own selfish gene, beyond the selfish genetical existence, then what happens, we become less tensed. Tension is less. For example, they give the example of one stringed instrument. If the stringed instrument is tuned very tightly, what happens? Small amount of wind also it makes a sound. If it is loose, then even if you blow air also, it won't make any sound. So that means reaction is less. If it is tensed, in our personality, our mind and consciousness is all tensed, then what happens? The smallest events outside also affect me. I get upset. So that is why if our consciousness is expanded, then what happens? Our life becomes more and more less tense, less free. We feel more relaxed. Normally what happens, we are so much confined to ourselves, our own happiness, our own miseries, our own problems, so much bogged down by all these things. So because of those things, lot of mental problems arises. Mental problems. Because of course nowadays so many social conditions also is propitious to this kind of life. That is very unfortunate. Okay. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda says in other place, and more we concentrate our lives on limited things. Limited things means only our body, our senses, our happiness, our emotions, our things, the things that we possess, the money, etc., house, etc., limited things. The farther we go towards death, those moments alone we live when our lives are in the universe, in others. And living the little life is death, simply death. And that is why the fear of death comes. When you are only confine ourselves to the body, when you think that you are only body, then naturally when death comes to, we are afraid of death, losing our body. For example, clay is there. With the help of the clay we make a pot. Pot has got a limited existence. It can be destroyed at any moment. But as a clay, it has got an extended existence. As a clay. So if a pot thinks that I am only a pot, is always a death is there. It is afraid of death. If it as a clay, if a pot thinks that I am the clay, I am not a pot, I am the clay. Actually, it is clay only. As a clay, it doesn't have any death, as long as the earth is there, at least. So limited, as a pot, it has got a very limited existence, but as a clay, it is extended existence, universal existence. So similarly, if you had that universal existence, if you identify ourselves with, if you think that you are the inseparable part of the whole, then fear of death is less. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Swami Vivekananda says in another place, individual's life is in the life of the whole. Individual's happiness is in the happiness of the whole. Apart from the whole, individual cannot be conceived. This is the bedrock on which whole universe is built. No individual object can be conceived without a background of other things. Can you think of a particular individual object? For example, book. Can you think of book disparate from all other things? It's not possible. It is an inseparable part of the whole. The body is an inseparable part of the whole cosmic mind. Mind is an inseparable part of the cosmic mind. This physical body is the inseparable part of the physical world, material world. So that's what Swami Vivekananda says. So our individual consciousness, that is the jiva, that is also inseparable part of the cosmic spirit, Ishvara, cosmic consciousness. So there is no, in all the three levels, there is no individuality for us. As we hold on to our own individuality, this fear of death would be there. So the fear of death means, actually, it is a fear of losing our individuality. That is actually the fear of death. So Swami Vivekananda says, you must live a life of the universal life, not a life confined to our own sense of individuality. So there is a concept called the empathetic impulse. empathetic impulse means, you know that concept of empathy. Swami Vivekananda emphasizes that though he won't uses that particular term, he speaks about that very, very eloquently in different places of his complete verse. So he says, you must feel for others to the extent that your heart must break. To that extent you must feel for others. Feel for the so many millions and millions of are in hungry, are in ignorance, are in suffering so many problems and difficulties. Why I should live my own life when so many people are there, so many people are suffering in so many ways? Why I must think of only my own suffering, my own individuality? So this is how we have to expand ourselves. Swami Vivekananda says like this. So we have to feel for others, and also not only that, we have to do something to mitigate their sufferings. You have to do something. You have to think about how I can help the people, at least to a certain extent, to a limited extent, to help the people to mitigate their suffering, to alleviate their suffering. Can we do that? Even through words, if we can't do anything else. We can do it through prayers. Nothing else is possible. So like that, we have to think for others, feel for others. That's what Swami Vivekananda always emphasized. So then we have to do. Then he says there must be the will to do something. There must be will. I should come out of this ego-bound existence, come out of this selfish existence. I should not bound down to the what the selfish genes ask me to do. I must come out of it and live a universal life. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. It is called empathetic feeling. In a particular article recently, I read one Roman Karzinarik. He says in a Religious Digest 2015, he says, the world view that we are essentially self-interested creatures is becoming nudged firmly to our side by evidence that we are also homo empathicus. That means homo empathicus means every one of us are capable of feeling empathy for others. Empathy for others means feeling the happiness and miseries of others. Others' happiness or misery is my own happiness. If others are happy, I am happy. If others are miserable, I am miserable. Society is miserable, I am miserable. So my great responsibility is there in keeping the society in a healthy condition. If the society is sick, I am also sick. I cannot be happy in that particular society where there is a sickness is there. If the society is poisonous, I also suffer. I have to suffer for that. So that is why, if, for example, if you take in particular house, so many people are there, household people are there, all are suffering from kind of ailments. Some may be suffering from some mental problems, depression, etc. Some may be from heart problems, some may be leg problems, something like that. Everybody is suffering. But I am not in that house. I am the only person who is healthy. Nothing, no suffering is there, mental suffering is there. No. In such a circumstances, can I be happy? It is not possible. Seeing so many people suffering, even I don't have any suffering, specific suffering, I can't be happy. So that is how we have, everybody has got that empathetic impulse that is there within us. It is inbuilt within us. He says, homo empatheticus, wired for empathy. That means homo empathicus means we are wired for that. Means in the brain itself, the neural system itself, there is a feeling of empathy. That center is there. We are wired for that. Social cooperation and mutual aid. These are the basic qualities of the human being. Empathy, social cooperation, and mutual aid, helping each other. So that is how, this is the main quality. That's why Swami Vivekananda also says, earlier this theory of evolution, they were emphasizing competition. Evolution is become possible because of the competition and all that. I don't want to go into the details, but Swami Vivekananda said it's not competition, it is cooperation. Through cooperation only the evolution become possible. Human beings evolved through cooperation. For example, other day itself, you have seen that how this the Chandrayana 3 took place successfully. It's not one man's effort. It is a cooperation of so many hundreds and thousands of people. Because of the cooperation. Because of the cooperation only whole civilization has come up. How much of knowledge has come up. Scientific development took place. Everything took place because of the cooperation. It's not competition. So that means we are all wired for that, to cooperate with each other. So in such a case, if you, in spite of all this, if you want to be so self-centered, confined to our own selfish circle, then it's a misery. We are going against our own nature. That is misery. He says further, the 20th century was the age of introspection. The 21st century should become the age of empathy, he says. So introspection, self-introspection, that means going within ourselves. So nowadays, see in psychology books, if you read self-help book is there, happiness is there. So you have to introspect yourself, go within and see what are the problem with yourself, and try to find the solution. All these things they speak about, going within, finding the solution within, like that. It is true. It is not wrong, but that happens. If it is confined to that only, then what happens? You become more and more self-centered. So that is why he says the 21st century should become become the age of empathy, not going confined to ourselves, going within ourselves and remaining within ourselves, trying to find out the problems within and solving the problem within and all that. We have to come out of it. That's what Swami Vivekananda also says, Atmano mokshartam jagatita. Both are necessary. In fact, both are necessary. You have to, in a sense, in one aspect, you have to go within and find the solution within ourselves. What are the problems within ourselves? How the external problems are created because of the problems within. To find out, you have to go within. It's not that you must become a selfish and all that. And what happens then afterwards? You must feel for others. You must identify with the society, whole universe. Then what happens? Then life becomes really fulfilled. So that is what Swami Vivekananda says, Atmano mokshartam jagatita. Atmano mokshartam refers to the going within ourselves, finding our own real nature, divine nature and all that. And jagatita means going out and helping the people. That is expansion. One is vertical expansion, another is horizontal expansion. Vertical and high, both are necessary, according to Swami Vivekananda. So these are the things that Swami Vivekananda explained, that you must have three things according to Swami Vivekananda. That is, you must feel for others, not only just feeling. You must be able to find solution how to help others. That's also necessary. In any limited way. It's not that we have to build an institution and all that. In our own limited way, we must try to help others. So that means afterwards, we must have the courage to overcome the difficulties and problems, all these, hindrances. Overcome all those things and do something to help the society, help others. These are the three things are necessary. It's a very striking point. In one particular, recently in a particular book, Focus, and in that book also, 3 stages of empathy, he says. It is so much similar to the ideas of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda said these things in 100 years back. He says the first feeling for others, that is emotional empathy. He calls it emotional empathy. That psychologist Daniel Goleman. Emotional empathy. And doing, thinking, we have to think what is the problem, how to solve the problem. That kind of thinking is necessary. Just feeling is not enough. You have to think. That thinking is called cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy. And a third one is, you must do something facing all the hurdles and problems you have to face along with the way. Overcoming all those things. You must have that willpower and courage to face the problems and all that. That is called empathetic concern. He calls it empathetic concern. With all these, all the three stages are necessary according to Swami Vivekananda. Now, we shall go to move on to other definition of Swami Vivekananda. Life is another name for death, and death for life. So this is another, Swami Vivekananda again and again he stresses, you have to contemplate on death, meditate on death. So in the houses, the word death is an anathema. To utter the word death itself is a very amangala, so inauspicious, they say. But death is a inseparable part of life. It's a fact in life. It's a reality. You have to accept life. You have to accept death also. It is a two sides of the one and the same coin. You can't. Nobody can escape from the death. One day or the other, everybody has to face the death. The day we live, the day we die. Our life is only a journey towards the death, continuous journey. Day by day, we are moving towards the death. It's a journey from the cradle to the tomb. Cradle to the tomb. It's a journey towards that. You have to think that it's not that we are all living forever in this universe. That's the famous Yaksha Prashna is there. What is the greatest wonder of in life? And Dharmaraya replies, the greatest wonder is every day, every moment we are seeing people dying, but at the same time everyone thinks that I don't die. I don't die. This is a great wonder in life. There is a story I told many times earlier also. One devotee goes to God and asked him, what is the most surprising thing about man? And God said there are three most surprising things about man. The first one is he earns money losing his health and loses money to restore health. This is the first surprising thing about man. What is the second one? Second one is he strives for future happiness, thereby he loses both present and future. In present also he can't be happy. In future, whether he attains happiness or not, it's doubtful. Normally won't. Normally won't happen. When you always think of the future happiness, normally that future will never come at all. It always receding back and back. It won't come. So normally both present and future he loses. And the third one is most important. He lives as if he is never going to die, and dies as if he never lived at all. So that means such an unfulfilled life he lives. So it is as good as death, according to Swami Vivekananda. So life and death are always inseparable. You have to constantly think of that. And Swami Vivekananda goes to say that you have to meditate on death, he says. You have to contemplate on death. You have to visualize that how I am going to die. My body is kept on the fire and it is burning. It is going to be reduced to the ashes, and all that visualization. If you do it, so much of vairagya will come. So much of vairagya will come. It's not that by thinking of the contemplating of the death you will become gloomy and all that. You may think like that. People think like that. If you go on thinking about that, you become very gloomy, lose interest in life at all. completely. So that won't happen. So life is very livable, pleasant, because it is transitory. Because it is transitory. Because we are going to die in one particular time. It may be earlier or it may be later. So because of that, life becomes bearable. Otherwise it becomes a most miserable thing. Life. So that is why death is considered to be the great blessing. It's a great blessing. Not that I have to invite death always. I must go on. Now I have to die like that. Thinking that's not good. That's not good. Nabhinandeta maranam, nabhinandeta jivanam, kalameva pratiksheta, niyamo britako yata. There is a famous shloka is there in Sanskrit. Nabhinandeta maranam, I should not think I must die, this life is useless, it is miserable, it is no meaningless, I must die. This kind of thinking also is not good. Nabhinandeta maranam, nabhinandeta jivanam, I should not die also. That idea also should not be there. I must always live, whatever may be the problem, I don't want to die. That also is not correct. Nabhinandeta jivanam, nabhinandeta maranam, nabhinandeta jivanam. Kalameva pratiksheta, nemo bhritako yata. You have to just patiently wait. That's all. Anyway, anytime death may come, anytime death I may die, but I must be prepared for it. Happily get out of this life. So that kind of attitude you must have towards the death. That's what Swami Vivekananda hints at. So life, contemplating on, meditating on death does not mean that it is a gloomy life. You must become gloomy and all that. As Swami Vivekananda says, this contemplation of death makes life more enthusiastic. You become more and more enthusiastic, because there is an urgency. At any time death may come. Whatever that I have to achieve immediately. I have to do. I have to, up and doing. So that kind of urgency will come. That's why Swami Vivekananda is so urgent, really. Because he knew he is going to die. He doesn't have a long life. He knew it. So within that short time he has to complete his work. That is why he was so hurried. He was hurriedly doing it. That is why sometimes he becomes very angry if people around him, even his own Guru Bhais, they were not understanding his own hurriedness. There is so urgency is there. He has to complete it. They are not cooperating. Even though he cooperated as he expected. Sometimes because of that he becomes angry also. Scold him like anything. Because he was in so hurry. He knew that he is going to die. He is going to give up his body shortly. So within that short time, within 10 years of his life, he had achieved so much. Thinking about death, he achieved so many things. So that is a very interesting point. He always used to say, I am not going to live for a long time. That's what he had idea. But in spite of that, he achieved so much. So somebody, if I am going to die so shortly, what is the use of all doing all these things? Let me go sleep and wail away my time and all that. That kind of idea is not good. So if death is imminent, I must up and doing within that short time. I must achieve the greatest in life. That kind of spirit must be there, according to Swami Vivekananda. Life is a journey towards death. We are all born to die. The day we live, the day we die. Jatasya vidriho mrutyuho dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitam arhasi. Sri Krishna says in the second chapter to Arjuna, Jatasya dhruvo mrutyuho. The one who is born, the death is certain. Dhruvo mrityu, that is certain. And the one who is dead, the janma also is certain. Again he has to born. So tasmad apariharyarthe. This is the thing which cannot be prevented. It cannot be avoided. This is the inevitable thing. We have to accept it. Why do you bother about it? Why do you grieve over it? That's what Sri Krishna says. So there is a Mark Twain, a great thinker, writer. He says very interestingly, each person he is born to one possession that outvalues all the others, his last breath. That is his last breath. So every person, everyone is born to possess one thing. What is that? He has to possess. That is the last breath. Last breath. That means death. And it outvalues everything else. Whatever we have, we may have a lot of wealth and all that, knowledge, so many things we may have. All these things loses all values when the death comes. It has no values at all. That last breath outvalues everything else that we possess. Outvalues that everything that we think the grand and noble and all such things. Everything is outvalued. So that is death. That is why there is another psychologist, Ken Wilber. He says, if you die before we die, then when we die, we don't die. If you die before we die, then when we die, we don't die. So that means while living itself, you must die. You must die to the world. You must die to the world. So that means you must have that detachment to the world. You must live a very happy life, take the life very positively, enthusiastically, and with great detachment. When there is a joy of life in detachment, there is a great joy of life in detachment, not in enjoyment. This is one thing Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna, all the great people have told. When we go to the museums, etc., see, museums, we go there to look at things, and we don't have to, you can't possess anything there. We just look at it and enjoy it and come. Look at it, enjoy it and come. When you possess, you can't possess anything. You can't possess. You can't, even if you possess something, steal something from there. It's something very beautiful is there. You are so much tempted, and CCTV is not there. Nobody is there nearby, and somehow or other he snatch something and come out. How long you enjoy it? How long you enjoy it? Nothing. Nothing. So when you possess something, you don't enjoy it. When you are away from it, only you enjoy it. So, for example, these natural sceneries are there. So much we enjoy. So much of joy we derive from it. Why? We are completely detached from it. You can't possess it. When you possess it, it loses its value. So that is why, as long as that detachment is there to the world, then only the world becomes very enjoyable to us. Everything becomes enjoyable with the help of the attitude of the detachment. So that is why Ken Wilber says, when we die, we have to die to the world. Then what happens? When we really die, when you die, we don't really die, because we will have eternal life. That is why you don't die. So in that way, we will be completely free from all the sufferings of the world. So that is death is something to be desired for. Desired for does not mean, I don't mean that you have to always think of, I have to die like that. That you must have that idea that death is an inseparable part of the life. So accordingly, you have to accept it positively without feeling any, without being afraid of it. There is a death simulation is there, it seems. One particular machine is there. Zingloy. It is called Zingloy. Recently I read in some article. It is a death simulator machine which takes people through the experience of death and rebirth. A person has a person lies down on a conveyor belt and goes through a dark tunnel that simulates cremation. He is then reborn on the other side through a latex womb. So he completely dies and everything, cremation takes place, everything else, he will have the, afterwards he is born again. This death simulation machine, it seems. So he will have the death experience and comes out. Then what happens, he will not, that fear of death would not be there. That's the idea. Sri Ram Swami Vivekananda says in a particular poem, "Who dares misery love and hug the form of death, dance in destruction's dance, to him the mother comes." To him the divine mother comes. One must be able to love death as we love life. We must have that courage to love the death, hug the form of death, he says, because in this world, this creation and destruction are inseparable part of life. Creation would be there, destruction would be there. If a creation is to be there, along with that, destruction also would be there. Creating one thing means destroying other things. For example, table is there. Table is created, destroying the wood. Wood is there within the table, of course. Wood, because wood loses its form and it assumes another form. That is what destruction means. Creation and destruction means. If the wood this table is burnt, it reduces itself into the ashes. So the destruction of the table means the creation of the ash. So like that, this whole thing is like this, whole universe is like this. It goes on, this destruction and creation. It's a cause and effect relationship, that's all. Nothing. It's a change of form. Whole thing like that. So death is also like that. It is nothing special about it. There is nothing special about it. We shall move on to another definition of life given by Swami Vivekananda. The whole of this life can be only described as a gymnasium. He says, life is a gymnasium. In a gymnasium, you don't go to the gymnasium for entertainment. Not entertainment, not for getting any happiness. We will go to the gymnasium to get strength. So life also is like that, because so many difficulties and problems and blows we get through life, in life, and all these things make us physically, mentally strong. So you have to derive lessons from that. In every aspect of life you have to derive lessons from it and getting benefited by that. Then only life becomes very valuable. Otherwise, life becomes miserable. So that's why Swami Vivekananda says, the secret of life is not enjoyment, but education through experience. So like gymnasium, you get educated. That means physically you get educated, you become more strong. In the life also is like a gymnasium. We get so many lessons, etc. We get, because through that experiences we learn so many things. We become more and more wise. So that is why the whole life is meant for, not for enjoyment, but for education. You have to educate ourselves through life processes. There are two kinds of educations are there. One is academic education, another is natural education. Academic education, that is going to the schools and colleges and learning so many things, so many subjects, physics, chemistry, etc., biology, so many things. Nowadays hundreds of subjects are there. Hundreds, innumerable subjects are there. So all these things are there. That is one kind of education. There is another education, that is natural education, that is, as Swami Vivekananda says, it is learning through experience in life. Educating ourselves through experience. We undergo so many educations, experiences in life. But seldom we learn anything from experience. Vacantly we look at things, vacantly we hear things and move about in life without experiencing anything. There is a experiencing is something different. Just hearing and looking at things is different. There are a lot of differences there. Just looking at vacantly looking at things and moving about, hearing about and all that, and experiencing everything, whatever that we look, whatever that we hear and all that. For example, that Avadhuta had 24 gurus, they say. That does not mean he had only 24 gurus. That he had the capacity of learning lessons from everything he looks at. He had that keen sense of observation, learning things from whatever that he hears, whatever that he sees. That kind of ability he had, open mind he had. Because of his open mind, he was able to derive lessons from so many different life experiences he underwent. So that kind of open mind must be there. Even the mind is open only, it is possible to learn things from it. So that's why Swami Vivekananda says, secret of life is not enjoyment, it is education through experience. For example, hearing the music. Music is an experience for me, for human beings, not for all. Those who have got musical sense only, for them it is an experience. They enjoy it. For an animal, it's just a sound. Animals also hear music, but it is only just a sound. But for us, it is a music. That means it becomes an object of enjoyment for us. So it becomes, for example, flower is there, very beautiful flower in the garden. And for an animal, he just looks at the flower, it is nothing. Yes, he sees the flower, that's all. It is not an experience. But we see it, we see the beauty in it, you experience it, you enjoy it, seeing it. That is an experience. So like that, we must have that capacity, we have that capacity to enjoy. But normally we don't, engage ourselves in that way. Normally, vacantly we see everything. Nature also, when you go to the natural sceneries, etc., we do, instead of enjoying the nature, we go on chatting, etc. So many things we do. We lost the capacity of really enjoying the physical nature. The nature deficit disorder is there. They call it nature deficit disorder. That means, in the cities like here, Bangalore, we don't have the capacity to see the nature. Because all concrete jungle it is. When you come out of it, is only jungle only, concrete jungle only we experience. Of course, Bangalore is still greenery is there, but in many places it is not there at all. In the Bangalore also, many parts it is not there. Anyway, there is recently I read in one particular article, 90 minutes walking in a natural surroundings reduces all the different kinds of tensions, blood pressure, mental tensions, so many things, so many physical and mental problems are reduced. Now, 90 minutes walk in a natural surroundings. Same 90 minutes walking in a concrete jungle, nothing happens, it seems. Nothing happens. All this positive effect is not there. So that is why this nature deficit disorder, they speak about it. They made an experiment, it seems. After the surgery is over, if the patient is brought to the general ward, if his cot is there beside the window, outside there is a natural sceneries are there, flowers are there, flower plants are there, so many things. By looking at it, his healing becomes faster, it seems. His bed is there in the middle of the ward, where he cannot see anything outside. Then his healing becomes slow. So these are some experiment they have made. That means this natural beauty, natural things, seeing the natural things, it will have a very healthy effect on the whole system, not only mental but also physical also. Physical system also, it has got a very positive effect. So that is, we must always have the capacity to experience nature. So through the experiencing, hearing properly, thinking properly, looking at the things properly, then only then we will be able to derive so many lessons from the experience. Sri Ramakrishna also was like that. He had a keen sense of observation. He would see everything. Though at the moment he would go to the samadhi and all that, he had that capacity. Even though still, whenever he is in a normal sense, then he would see everything intently and experience everything. He was so full of awareness, because he always lived in consciousness. He was always aware, full of awareness. So everything he used to observe, keenly observe what the things are going on, how the things are going on. That is why whenever he goes somewhere else, he would never forget anything and come back. So he would scold other devotees. What is this? At a moment's call, I go to the samadhi, still I don't forget anything. I bring everything, whatever the umbrella is there, whatever that is there, I don't forget always. But you don't have that capacity. Even then, you are not able to do that. You forget everything so easily. How is that? That means it's a mechanical. Life becomes mechanical. Mechanical living, mechanical moving, mechanical looking at things, mechanical hearing so many things. It won't give me any experience. So that is how you must learn how to experience. But there are different levels of experiences. Are there physical experiences there, and the mental experience is there. What is mental experience? Mental experience means when, for example, I can learn so many things from a mental experience also. Somebody tells something, or some bad things happens. What happens? I feel hurt within me. I feel hurt naturally. If somebody tells me something very bad about me, I get hurt. Then I have to introspect myself. Why I am being hurt? What is that hurts me? What is that inside that hurt me? So Swami Vivekananda says, when something happens outside, something adversary things happen outside, then as Vedantins, you have to look at ourselves. We must try to do corrections within ourselves. Then that hurt feeling will not be there. So that is why, what is that hurt? Why should I get hurt? Like that, if you are able to think deeply about myself, I will get so many, analyze myself within me, then I will get so many things, learn so many things about my own mind. My own mind. You don't have to become a psychologist to know my mind. I can learn if I am objectively look at myself and try to learn something, leaving aside all subjective factors, then I will be able to learn many things about my own self, about my own mind, about my own workings of the mind, how the emotion is troubling me, how the thinking is troubling me, how willpower is to be employed, how it should be employed, what are the functions of all these things, how the samskaras are playing in me. All these things I can make out. So that is why we must have that capacity to know and introspect myself within myself. So that is why through that you will be able to learn many things. For example, somebody praises me, I feel so much elated, so much elated. Why I am elated? Because I hanker for praising. This is a lesson I learn. So this hankering for praise, the prashamsa, is not good. It's not. I should not. If somebody praises me, I should oppose them. It's not like that. I should not do that. But if somebody praises me, I should not get elated. I should not get attached to it. Then what happens? If I get elated, then I always want praise only. I expect everybody to praise me for everything I do. If I don't praise. If somebody don't praise me at all, I feel hurt. So that should not happen. So this is how we learn many things. Many things. Mentally also we learn many things. And spiritually, of course, talking about the truth, about God, about reading about the truth and God and all this, it's not enough. We have to experience the truth. If God is there, you have to experience it. You have to realize it. Swami Vivekananda says. What about simply believing in it? Believer, Swamiji says, has got a jellyfish existence. Really, he doesn't have any stability in life. Because of that, whenever that happens, something happens, adversary things happens, then he loses faith. The belief will go. Belief is gone. So the faith is different from belief. Faith is completely different from belief. Faith is really transforms one's life. That is why Shraddha is called. Shraddha is considered to be the higher than the mere belief. Mere talking about their different spiritual veracities and all that, it's not enough. One must have the experience of the truth through our practices, through spiritual practices. We must try to undergo the experiences of the spiritual life. That is what is expressed in the different scriptures and books, and also what we read and hear and about so many things. So there is a nice story, is there, small story, Christian story. Torah means one particular scripture in belonging to Judaism, the Yehudi Dharma. Torah is something like Bhagavad Gita in Hinduism. It's a very important scripture. So one devotee comes to a teacher and tells, I have gone through Torah thoroughly. I have gone through Torah thoroughly, he said. Then the Guru said, no, it is not like that. Torah should gone through you. Torah should gone through you. Go through you. Through and through you, he said. So that means not I am going to, that means going through Torah means it is just a reading. It is not like that. Torah must enter into you. It must transform you. That is experience. That is experience. It is not that, just reading mechanically and deriving some kind of intellectual understanding, etc. It's not enough. It should become an experience within me. I must be able to experience that what is that is told in the scriptures. That is how spiritual experience is most important. So like that, there are different kinds of experiences are there in life. You have to undergo those experiences, then only the life becomes more fruitful and enjoyable. So that is why Swami Vivekananda says, life is a great lesson. We have to so much of lessons you have to learn from the experience. Secret of life is not another place. Swami Vivekananda says, the goal of life is not enjoyment, happiness. Goal of life is not happiness. It is knowledge. Knowledge. Goal of life is knowledge. That means you have to gain knowledge. You have to know things. You have to learn things. So life is meant for learning things through our own experiences. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Satu. Shri Rama Krishnarpanamastu.